was like somebody called it like, yo, because it was a drink that had coconut, una vaina así. And one of the girls was like, yo, that's your third one, like, watch tomorrow. And then Jamie actually, he was like, yo, everyone was paying for it. It was like, yo, she told me, she made a good point. Yo, if you do that, you're gonna caca. And then he told me, and I was like, next day, I was like, coño, ¿y qué pasó? Because I got a mad buzz. But then the next day, I was like, oh shit, that's right. I had mad those drinks that had like sugar and coconut and all that. Tú sabes.
Agua.
Sigue mezclando.
I was just like,
By the way,
giving birth.
By the way, estamos grabando.
We just started. That's it, bro.
Oh, that's great. Oh, wow, that was great.
Joseo por todo lo que tengo.
That was a great intro.
That was a great intro. Caca.
Wow, caca.
Can never go wrong with caca jokes.
Yo, the reason why he was talking about it is because I'm drinking coffee and some Casamigo. And yo dije que ahorita, so I say agua.
Yeah,
Now, you know what?
Casamigo con lemonade.
Bro, I mean, nadie puede conmigo, bro.
¿Y qué es eso, loco?
Don't be small.
Oh, yo pensé que es una pepa de la
Yeah,
I know, I thought it was one of these. But he's like,
sick.
no one can fuck with me with this. And instead it's pebble, but that's when you know you're adulting.
Yeah,
you're
for real.
adulting when you brag about those type of things. Like, yes, that's so true,
Bro,
yo.
because my body reacts different now, bro. That's it. I used to drink coffee every morning, bro, before work. I can't do that shit no more, bro. I'm on my way to work driving, ya yo estoy...
Yeah, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have in the house a special guest today.
Oh, special.
This is his second time back.
Yes.
Time back.
Our brother, Juan Bago. Mire, iba a beber más, en vez de aplaudir.
I was doing like a little like...
And we're gonna do it right now, a little salud.
Salud.
That was great. That's
what we needed, right?
awesome.
Because it's hot
That was
today.
great. I'm feeling the candle too. Smells
yeah,
good. I'm into
yeah.
candles now.
Yo,
you know?
that's another thing why we getting older, bro.
Yeah, man.
I love candles. Ask this guy.
Yo, I would have cut ass back in the days, bro. I saw a dude like just shopping for candles and shit.
Bro, I be in TJ Maxx in the little.
Bro,
I go
it's what I
directly
see.
to the candle aisle and I be like, let me look for my favorite smell, favorite.
Yeah, man. Yo, like that's the same thing too for me. Like my girl be like, listen, I'm on the website, it's 35% off.
sick.
What does that mean? Says we can get like 9 candles for this. I was like, what? Get that shit.
Yo, get it.
Do you have?
And then we open up the bus. That's like the first 10 minutes. Like, yo,
Just smelling them.
I almost said, no. Let's try this one over here. Okay. Oh man, yeah. I don't know. I like strong. Like there's some that smell like grass from like the backyard of upstate.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like the strong smells. Like I like the. I don't know. Like it has to be just strong.
How about this one? This is lavender chamomile.
Well, kudos twice because lavender is very good. It's very spiritual, healthy. So I like that.
Is it?
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Lavender is really good. It gets you in a good mood.
Nice.
Which is
It's not
probably
brujeria and shit.
no, it's not.
Yeah.
Although that would be a good market, like brujeria candles.
Brujeria
Yeah,
Nice.
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, we
We
should
invite
do that.
somebody come over. Like,
Matter
that
of
shit.
fact, Aquí Chillin coming out with candles too.
What?
Yeah, we might have a smell called brujeria. That's gonna be the collab with you.
Yeah, bro, I like that.
That's
a good. Yo, that's awesome.
What's that? I want the brujeria one, bro.
Yeah.
Man, my brother.
Yes,
Again,
sir.
Thank you for stopping
Yo,
by.
yeah,
And
bro.
listen, we got a lot to catch up on.
I
See,
see
you've been busy.
working,
You've been busy,
bro.
bro.
I've been busy because COVID really did a number on us in 2020.
Tell us about that. Yeah. How
Well,
was your
I think
experience?
My experience is like I've always been wanting to have a balance between creating short content that I can share on social media and then my long term, which is the writing. And so for me, when 2020 came, like everybody else, everything was shutting down, and it's like you couldn't be like, yo, fam, you want to come shoot? They're like. No one was doing that. It was
6 feet. 6 feet.
6 feet. So that's kind of hard to shoot. Like when the dude is 6 feet away from the camera and the camera's 6 feet away from you, and it was like, and it completely shut down. Like that was an interesting time with social media, man.
People was scared.
Yeah. But it was an interesting time because there were people that were consistently creating content.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it was just like your Instagram was kind of like, people were doing like green screen stuff because it was like, so for me it was a thing where it was like, it forced me to be like, let me look at long term. Let me look at stuff. And I remember saying, like, you know what, I'm not going to do any of the content stuff. I'm just going to focus on writing. And then, like, maybe, I don't know, like early this year, a couple of my mentors, like, look, I get it. You want to do your writing and stuff, but you got to let people know, like, you did your stuff. Because sometimes it's outside of, like, it's almost like sometimes when you create a content, people are like, oh, shit, Bago. Oh, snap, you know. I gotta talk to him. I forgot. Like, it kind of reminds me to share the content.
You stay in people's mind,
regardless if it's podcast and content wise. So that's why my boy and I, we wanted to do the Knuckles video for like
that was
2.5 years.
Oh, really? It's been that was
because we wanted to do it. We wanted to do it like in 2019. The problem was that when we wanted to do it, Narcos was about to come out and we were gonna rush. And I'm the type of person like, if you're gonna do it and you're gonna do it the first time, do it right, because then people are gonna, everyone's gonna come at you like, yo, if you did this, fam, you did that, fam. You don't have time to be like, well, I was rushing.
Yeah.
And then 2020 came. And so then now this year I'm like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do it. And that's why I kind of upped the ante and I got the boat and I got the plane and I got all that, because I'm like,
shit was legit, bro.
I needed to really kind of like splash it in there. And the number one thing too is like I got people that are watching, and I gotta like, yo, if you give me a budget, I'll do a parody, another scare.
Your quality is
so
top
notch.
And you can see the effort that goes into it. Because like he said, the quality,
the
acting,
the
fucking lines be hilarious. There's definitely some thought behind it.
And that's my boy Anthony, man. Anthony figured out how to master those fake trailers of shows that would never come out. And I will never forget when we did like DR Ninja, people were like, all right, so when's this season coming out? And it was, we had to get used to it because we did Head That Thrones too. And we had to get used to it because the funny shit was, is like, people are commenting, yo, we digging it. And then we got hate. Like, yo, but where's the shit?
Yo, we need it.
Where's the whole thing? And we're like, we're not. Fuck out of here with this, man. You didn't come out. So it's so that's why when we had to market this one, we're like, a trailer to a fake show that ain't coming out. So enjoy this here thing there, but it was fun.
And I think it was genius the material you guys selected in terms of what illegal shit was, meaning the nutcracker.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, back in the days, nutcrackers was the shit, but it was hard to get them. It was like you had to know somebody.
Yo, eso se, whoever used to sell it, bro, hacía la funda.
Siempre, loco.
Like, especially if you had the Loica, I used to drink that shit all the time, bro.
Yeah, well, there was a guy, Freddie Imperial. That's the guy who he in the like 90s, because he had a public access show called Dominican USA, and he was selling it from his barbershop, and there were basketball players, there was everybody from Pennsylvania, Connecticut. All going in, he was caking it, caking it.
I can imagine.
And then that next generation came, and it started to spread and go everywhere. And then obviously where we're at now with the Nutcracker and stuff, but it was making hand over fist with money. So it was kind of like we were trying to find a parallel of that, and then just introduce the characters that were living there, because it's like, you think about it, there are cliques that would sell nutcrackers. So it's the same thing. It's like just imposing that.
Yeah, and going back to 2020, bro, the pandemic, just experiencing that film for the first time, and we tend to ask this to most of our guests.
Yeah.
Like, what was your experience like? Did that put anything in perspective in your life?
I think what it did was first off, one of the crazy things that were happening amongst people that are writers and content creators, everyone would be like, well, if I had more time, I would be able to write a script, right? Wow. But I'm too busy. But then what happened? People were like, yo, now you have time. And I remember talking to a bunch of creators that are like, yo, I got time, but I'm not in the right headspace. Just because I'm home, I'm not in the zone. You need to be in that headspace to create. Right. And then that's when those few months people were starting to, because everyone was like, you ain't got no excuse. You can write 10 movies, Then that next wave of the thought was like, but wait a minute, now we're starting to realize if you're not in that right space, you're not gonna be able to. You can't force it.
No matter the circumstances.
Time does not equate. The time does not equate that you can create it. You have to be in the right space in the right time to go ahead and do that. Because remember, you could write, but no one was shooting. Hollywood was shut down. Everything was shut down. So it was that sense of uncertainty, and we're humans. When that first happened with COVID and everywhere was shut down, we didn't know was it going to be open up. It took till the summer and the fall for people to get back and do stuff. So for me, it also put things in perspective of what do I want to do? Like, what is it? Because again, we have all the freedom, so we can be involved with 50 things. But then, long term, when you look at it, where am I? Where am I want to do? So it did give me more perspective of my time, and I value the time even more after COVID, because it was like, yo, in order for me to go out, in order for me to do this, where does this look for me in the long term?
Right.
Is it going to build there? So
sorry.
No.
I was gonna say, so like to continue on that point, you probably had a bunch of projects going on at one time, or you were trying to pursue a bunch of projects. So now that you have time into perspective, you had time to think about the things you wanted to pursue. Did you start like getting rid of certain projects and focusing on other projects that you found more valuable to you?
Yeah. And then that's it. It was just all writing, because the thing about writing and the thing about having that world of like creating sketches, right? When you're doing sketches, when you're doing little videos, you're doing parodies, is that there's a thing where it's like, okay, here's the idea, here's the outline, here's the sketch, shoot it and go out. When you're creating something more long form, it takes patience, it takes time, it takes a lot of energy to mold it. That's why things take a while. I didn't have that patience sometimes. I was just like, yo, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. So I literally, and social media is a drug, and like I said, there would have been times where people would hit me up. If I put a TBT, be like, yo, my man, when are you gonna do this? Especially last year. And I'm just like, man, but I'm like, no, I gotta stay focused. So what it gave me was the patience and the focus to really just dive into the writing, because it is a muscle. Now I'm a little better, because it's like, all right, I've been doing it for a while, that I can balance it out. But back in 2020 and before, it was hard, because anytime I'm like, well, I'm gonna write, but I gotta produce this, and I gotta do that, and I gotta do this, and I was just giving that excuse to myself.
Right.
With COVID and everything shut down, I was like, all right, let me just think long term and like really work this muscle.
How's the writing process like?
Yo,
Un cafecito,
man, yo,
the candles is definitely lit.
It's the whole, the thing about me is, this is the problem with me. I'm gonna tell you what the problem is with me. My girl says it all the time. She's like, you're always to the extreme. So my extreme is like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna hit up my friend. I'm gonna delete my apps. I'm gonna delete everything. So I gotta delete everything.
Not shaving for a month.
I cannot be distracted, because that's the thing about it. And now, now that whole Facebook thing that came out, like those platforms are like droga. Like they get you.
They're fighting for your attention.
And if we're content creators and you gotta create, but you're like, oh, but wait, let me go on my Instagram.
Let me check.
And that's what I used to do before. I'd be writing. I'm on the laptop, I'm writing, and then I'm like, let me check. I just posted something. Let me just check.
Isn't that crazy, bro?
And then I'm like there, and then I'm like, and then an hour go by, and we got like one line. Then I'm like, coño. So I go to the extreme, and I just deleted everything, so I could just focus on it and keep going. That's why I made it.
That's great.
But it's hard. Some people get more patient. I knew somebody,
but it works for you though, right?
It does work for me. But now I'm in a better thing, because there are certain things that I have deadlines and stuff like that. The hardest is when you don't have a deadline. You just want to create something new, and you want to present it, but no one's like, yo, loco, yo necesito mañana. When you don't have that, and then you're in the regular social media and all that, that shit sucks you up. And that's what a lot of content creators deal with, because it's like, it's hard to have a laptop in front of you, writing, and then be like, oh, I'm stuck right now. Hold on, let me go to my Facebook or my Instagram or Twitter, Because that's what it is when you hit a block. So I needed to get all of that out. So that, to me, the writing process for me more times is like, I do better in the morning, and I do better when I'm just like, phone is all gone, and I go in there and I punch through to get in there. But the writing process too, what I've learned too, is that I like to do a lot of it is talking now, man. Like writing, 90% of writing is talking. Like talking it out.
What do you
if I don't mean if so it's like if I say, yo, let's do a sketch about la 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 la, and you're like, I don't get it. There's no way when I write it is gonna. You have to. What I learned is you gotta work the room to say, oh, that shit is funny. Then when you get to the writing, it's gonna be a little harder. But you gotta like talk everything out, because if you
Okay,
can't
blueprint.
verbalize it.
So writing is like music. Like when you produce music, when you are finding the notes to a
La
song,
melodía,
you play it first.
Yeah, play it.
So when you writing, you speak it first.
Yes.
And then if you get a good vibe from the room or the people you're with,
Yeah.
then you
The
jot
same
it
when you
down.
mumble la melodía.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I've never
So I
done
mean,
that.
there are obviously, and that's the other thing about writing is everybody has their own style.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody has their own way. And I know people that I need a shit in 2 weeks, and they'll wait to Sunday right before the 2 weeks,
And
and
right.
they hammer it out 11 hours in a row because they feel the pressure, and that's what gets them cooking. But other individuals are different. But for me, and what I've noticed too, is a lot of it is talking, because if you can't convince it or you can't express it, and people are bored or people don't get it, then there's no way in the writing part it's gonna translate. Because that's the other thing too. I've noticed too is like you could write a sketch, 5 minutes, and you're just reading it in your brain all the time. But then some people will skip the level of reading it out loud with people, and they'll go straight to shooting, and they're like, man. That's why it's good to do the table reads and do all that stuff, because they're like, oh, I like the way you read
So
it.
what are the
That's
table
okay.
reads?
So the table read is literally when you get to a point where you're comfortable enough to show your work of a script, and you get a bunch of people. Now that was happening on Zoom now. That was one of the advantages of
Yeah,
Zoom,
yeah,
because
yeah.
you just see somebody waking up like, you need me in a table read, Bet. And then they got the script there and they're reading it. Timing is a little off, not like in person. But a table read is literally when you have could be 30 minutes, 15, whatever it is, and you assign everybody with their characters that you've written on paper, and you hear it out loud. Because then that is when you see the cadence, that doesn't work well. And then that way you like, and you clean it up and you write a new version.
Got it.
And a lot of times, and I noticed that throughout all the years that I've been working, some people did a couple of drafts and then they never did a table read. And it's like, if you can't hear it out loud, the writing, if the first time you're hearing it out loud is at maybe let's say like a rehearsal or shooting, you're already doing injustice to yourself.
Really?
You need to like have a couple of table reads that clean that all up so you can get the momentum
and your confidence too, bro.
Exactly, because then you now know like, all right, bet it's gonna be on fire.
Question for you:
Ooh.
If you had to, if someone had a gun to your head,
Damn.
yeah, this is how it's gonna start. If someone had a gun to your head, would you take acting or writing
Ooh.
as your main focus?
Lately, and it's been like people are like writing.
Yeah,
Right?
bro.
Yeah, writing. I started as a writer. Like, I don't know if in the last time I was on the podcast, I started like there was a site called migente.com, and this was like a new social. It was like that was social media before social media. Yeah. And I remember that my way of expressing, I was just doing funny memes and all that stuff. And right before I was about to shoot my first movie, the story of Juan Bago, that's how I got my name. I remember that I was casting for Juan Bago. I was gonna be behind the camera, be the writer, be like the producer and everything. And then what I realized, sort of how like Lin-Manuel said when he did In the Heights, back in the Broadway version, he was trying to cast. He's like, you know what, it's better off if I'm just gonna go ahead for time and vision. Let me go ahead and do it myself. So for me, I was like, how am I gonna get people to come on a Friday at 11 o'clock at night because I had to shoot in my apartment?
Yep.
I could rely on myself. I'll just do it. And then I fell into that, and I started doing the acting. But I love writing, bro. Like I like
that's
creating.
Your passion.
I like being behind the scenes. I like the world you create.
Creating, right?
Now, don't get me wrong.
Well, you've been in a few things though as acting.
I have.
Let's tell the people. We know what it is, but tell the people.
Which one are you?
I was gonna say Vampire vs.
Yeah, Vampire
That was
vs.
one of the recent ones. That was dope. I had been the bad guy, man.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. That was the first time I was carrying that was a real gun.
That was a fucking real.
That was a real gun.
Way.
Yeah, shooting blanks, but it was a real gun. Like you
Oh,
felt it. So when we did the first take, and it was like, boom, 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 I was like, oh shit. Now mind you, lifting the curtain. This is in an alley at 3 in the morning. Now it was summertime, so the ACs were on, but it was like they had the cops, but then they had somebody like when you finished shooting, it was funny. You just had to do it like this, and then the expert would take it and he would go like all 4 of us. But I was like, it was such an adrenaline because I was like, oh,
letting it go for real.
I was like, yo, no, I think I fucked up. Let's do this again. I want to shoot it one more time. But That was such a fun experience.
Yeah, I was hyped when I
Netflix?
saw you in that, bro.
I was so
Such a
hyped,
fun
bro.
experience.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, look who
I
it is.
love seeing my people
love
grow
it.
this out, bro.
Hell
Yeah, yo, like that was the reason why that was such a fun experience is because, and I'll say it over and over and over again, Oz was really true to the culture and how he shot that in the projects in the Bronx.
That's like,
People, you know, a lot of the times they're like, nah, let's shoot this in Brooklyn, let's do this, and no. Bronx and like in the projects, this is it. Because a lot of times people do stuff and they're like, it's like, New Yorkers are very particular. People from the Bronx,
we know
We
it.
recognize.
We know.
We know. We're in the Bronx right now, so we recognize.
Exactly. So I respected that, and then the cast and everything. It was such a fun time. So for me to even be able to be doing, I have a line. I had a line. You didn't see it, and it was funny because, again, I'm a writer and I overthink things a lot. Right. That's one of my flaws in acting wise is that my writing, I'm always like, oh, I can do this, I can do that better, So my acting wise, the funny shit was I only had one line. It was a quick one line. I was like, yo, what's up? You peeing on yourself, right? But I knew I had that line for like a week, and it was probably harder than if I had a monologue. Monologue would be like, da-da-da-da. But I only had one line, and I remember after I did one take, I was just like, yo, bring it, just relax. Because I almost made it kind of fun. Like, I was almost comedic, and here I am, I'm like a gangster. I was making it funny, but it was like, I had one line. So all I did, I was in the trailer, and I was like, all I was doing was thinking that one line. And when I went in, and it was like, action, da-da-da. And I was like, well, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I gotta see this line right now. So you peeing on yourself? Cut. I'm like, fuck. It's just human nature. When you only have one little thing, it's just like your mind. The pressure. So
it's that one.
How many takes?
No, there was like, because of natural the way it is. For me, I did a couple, but once I had it. But the funny thing was is that when we finally see it, you hear me. So if people really know and they didn't know that was in the film, they're like, yo, I think that's Bago. And then you see me and then I die. But no spoiler. But again, that was such a great experience, the collective, and I enjoy, don't get me wrong, I enjoy acting, I really, really do. But I feel like more the impact and more of like the ability to express our world, Dominicans and everything like that, the writing really, I get more. I'm a more of a writer. I think more of a writer. Like, I'm low key. Like, honestly, like if we're gonna talk on like a therapy, whatever, I'm very outgoing. I'm a people person.
Yeah, facts. You are. Bro.
It translates on the camera, right? Like, I've done a lot of process. People be like, oh, and then I'm like, yeah, but there's a lot of people in it you didn't recognize. So I think people get misled a little bit. They're like, oh, but right, I like to be in the cut. I like to be tranquilito. And then, when the camera's on, but I don't look for that. I look for more. I want to be behind the scenes in the camera.
You just naturally stand out, bro.
Yeah, it's the energy. And again, like, I had to. It took me a while to realize that. Where people are like, yo, and then it's like, I'm like, but I don't. Like,
I'm not
I like to be behind the scenes, but people's like, nah, so it's the energy. Like, I think I've always been the class clown and out there, and so I like to bring people together and all that stuff. So when they see that, they probably think, oh, he's front of the camera one. Nah, I'd rather be behind the scenes.
And what are your thoughts right now on like the film industry and the Latino community? I feel like companies like Netflix are doing a pretty good job just promoting the Latino culture in a lot of the films. Right. What are your thoughts on the state of that right now?
I mean,
could it be better or could it?
Oh no, absolutely.
Progress?
It definitely has to get better. But look at an example. Squid Games.
Oh my God.
Okay, you saw it, right?
Yeah.
That's a movie. Look, just strip away for what it is. That's a movie that unless you're in South Korea, you don't know. You don't know anything.
No clue.
No, you didn't.
I just found out that those actors are like the Brad Pitt of Korea. Yeah. Like the main actors.
I didn't know that.
They're huge out there.
But what happened, right? You didn't go, oh, Squid Games, oh, that actor, that director, that producer. No. It was the word of mouth, and it was because people were like, yo, you gotta check this out. So I say that to say that a lot of times when it comes to Latinos, what the executives or studio be like, oh, but we need this person and we need that person. It's like, no, it has to be quality. Let word of mouth. Because if that was the same way, Squid Games would not have penetrated through that.
Y el otro, Money Heist.
Money Heist.
Yo no conocía a nadie.
It's
just fire.
Yo, bro, what you just said right now speaks for thousands of years because sometimes I feel like they think that the actors make the movie. No, it's the storyline. You could place any up and coming actor that has talent in the movie if they deliver.
The writing.
And
the
writing
fire. The story, yes. The writing. But that's where it starts, the writing.
Yeah.
That's the message.
That's the key,
yeah. Look at what Orange is the New Black did for a bunch of Latina actresses that got quality writing, because that's the thing that we've been dealing with a lot is the characters that Latino actors don't have any layers, right? Yeah, you know what? It could be a drug dealer, but add layers to it. Show a human side of who we are as Latinos. Yeah. And so that is, I think, the key is the writing, and then just put it out there. Let the algorithms do, because now we know more than ever. Now it's like, I can go to your Netflix and be like, look, I didn't even know that show was there. That's your taste. Your taste, my taste. But let the algorithms do what they got to do. Let the word of mouth go, and then people can discover. Because that's what happened with Vampires of the Bronx. There were certain people who didn't even know. But it was like during October, it was part of the Halloween thing, and people were discovering it. And this movie's tight. How come there wasn't even more promotion? So I say that we definitely need more work. But the natural process right now is some of these actors right now that are in front of the camera, once they get some more clout and they're executive producers. Because the other thing too is, and a lot of it sometimes happens, is that the decisions that are being made behind closed doors, especially with casting or anything, you need those Dominicans and Latinos in those rooms be like, nah, I'm telling you right now, if you do it like this, the people, the audience are going to like that. Because that's what tends to happen sometimes. I remember, I don't know if you remember the show Washington Heights.
Yes, I remember that show.
So on MTV?
Yeah. Now, the problem with the way it was approached and sent out with Washington Heights was, it was called Washington Heights, but it was 7 friends that lived in Washington Heights. Right. 7. That's their clique. But because it was called Washington Heights, and MTV was like Washington Heights, what happened? The Dominican barber in the barbershop, loco, eso no es nosotros. But it was like, you needed to have somebody, when you brand that show, be like, yo, these are some friends from Washington. That's a clique. These individuals exist. But when you put Washington Heights, then you're going to have a thing. And I remember reading an article, not many people talked about the article. There was a thing called the negative, it was like a negative, something social media negative wise, where saw the trailer, amount of people were dogging it without even watching it. So when it went, it was either hate watching or they were not giving it a chance. Mind you, in Ohio, it was doing really well because they didn't know. But our own peoples are the critics, and they don't give it a chance because you named it Washington Heights. So that's why sometimes the branding and the marketing all have to work cohesively, so that people can be like, yo, you know what, give it a chance. Like, just because it doesn't look like your block or this, that doesn't mean
it's not there.
It's not there. These are these lives are existing. They're doing what they're dealing with. So the same thing right now. We need those individuals, and I think Netflix is doing better because they have Con Todo Flix, where they have that, and then these mediums are really helping out, really helping our projects in there. But as time goes on and more individuals that are actors and everybody, and writers and directors get in there, the authenticity will be better, so that the average person is not writing it off. Because then I'm like, man, that shit is whack. That shit is not, I'm not watching it.
Antes de salir,
It's already criticized. Just on a trailer.
That's it. Which is sad because.
But that's how we are though. That's what I'm saying. We look at a menu and we're like, I ain't fucking with this. You know, keep it moving.
Without tasting the food.
Or the picture.
But that is the problem when you don't have a Dominican. Like if you had a Dominican in the room, be like, yo, they're not gonna fly with that, yo. They're not gonna even give it a chance because you're portraying it like this. You have like this. They're not gonna waste time. You know, everybody has ADD now. People see a trailer like, I ain't fucking with that shit. Comes out and that's it.
If you're not,
I wish our people were more supportive, man.
But that's it. We are not. But I'm wondering that because we consume the most.
Yeah.
Out of everything, we consume the most.
But what's not ours though?
But because I think we're so, and like again, when things are successful in the mainstream, it's because of us.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're very critical
Yeah.
in a certain way. So that even if it is Latino, we're just very critical to it. And I think that that's one of the things I've noticed is like we really, you can't okie-doke us at times. You can't be like, hey, this is a Latino project. Okay, fine, but I'm not, digging it. But that's also the other thing too. And I've been trying to figure that out for 15 years. Why?
Why are we like this?
What is it?
Like, talking back to Money Heist, huge show. Yo, the support from us is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So imagine, like, somebody making, también is content too. Like, I think if, si un show dominicano and there's great stuff, maybe it does good. But like you said,
let me ask you, I'm gonna ask you a question because I realized this when I did Pan Con Queso and it was a parody and we weren't whatever. But one of the things that came out was like, and rappers from Washington Heights and the Bronx was like, yo, it's funny. I gotta blow up over there for then the locals to be like, oh yeah, that's my friend for a while. I feel like that's sometimes the thing too. It's like it's gotta blow up, and then the locals are like, oh, those my peoples. It's like it's hard sometimes. Latinos, I've noticed that it's like gotta blow up in the mainstream to then come back and get the support locally.
But then if you
work the reverse.
But then if you don't come back, they'll chew you up too.
Exactly.
Which is crazy.
So weird.
It's weird. It's a weird thing because you see it all the time, especially in the art space. I feel like in the art space, if you're trying to make it, or even in a small business, if you're trying to make it in your community, a lot of times you don't get support in your community. Sometimes you have to, like you said, you have to go outside. Even if it's to sell something, you have to go outside and then come back with the result and be like, look, I sold it. And then people be like, oh, okay, let me try it. Instead of it being the other way around.
Bro. Because everybody's trying to pursue the same thing. But instead of having that mentality, like, yo, if my man make it, congrats, I'm next.
Right.
Or he can teach me something.
Or not even expecting anything from you. Just like be proud of your people, bro. If I see him progresando, I don't want him to progresar. Oh, he's gonna help me now. That's the bad mentality we got. Don't think about it like that. It's just like, yo, Juan Bago did it up. Boom, I like that, and he came from where I came from. That means hay una oportunidad para mí para salir también. You know what I'm saying? But don't expect that from the guy that actually succeeded. You know what I'm saying? Work your ass off, bro.
Yeah, that's it. That's. You're right, and then at the end of the day, what I've realized now more than ever is like pick your people that you know and roll with it, because a lot of times you try to get everybody all together, and then within a few months, so it's like pick your tribe, pick who you need, go in, low expectation, I got you, continue to be like I got you, don't want anything in return, and doing that because. It's true. It's like it's been the same thing though. I've been seeing the same thing for many years, and then people try to be like, "Yo, let's do this." I think at the end of the day, it's like focus on your craft, continue working on your craft, because that's another one thing too. It's like you can kind of get lost sometimes when you're trying to bring everything together and working that muscle, working it, and then you blow up somewhere else and then you come back. But it's like that's the other thing. You gotta get in there and work it, because trying to collaborate, get everybody together, it's emotionally draining, and then it's you're set up for a letdown because of what we just said right now, and then it's like, yo, that person's doing that. It's like, man, but when I did that, where was everybody? And it's like you're exhausted and you got like a chip on your shoulder and the whole night. So I say that to new people that are going there. If I'm going to invite new people, it's like,
go for it.
Tunnel vision, focus on what you can focus on. And the other thing that I've been seeing a lot lately is like, look, if there's 20 people in one room, you're going to gravitate to 5. Get to those 5.
Yes.
And keep it moving. That's it.
I want to say something too about that, bro. Like a lot of times, like even through our process right now that we're going through in the last couple of years, like when you're trying to build something or just do anything in general, you have to find those people that believe in your vision. Those people that believe in your, just because someone comes up to you and tells you, hey, that's a cool idea, doesn't mean you have to bring them onto your tribe, whatever. But you got to look for those people who have faith in what you're trying to build, and you roll with those persons. So out of those 20 people, there's those 5. Invest your time, find out their strengths, what they're good at, and start building from there. And like you said, low expectations. Don't ask for anything from your tribe, and push and build and build. Because then once you build with them, then everyone else is gonna support at the end of the day. They always gonna. That's the thing. once you hit mainstream, people are gonna be like, yo, pero yo lo conozco ese tigre.
The classic Instagram story where they report like, yo, that's my man.
That's my man.
Like 11 years ago.
Yeah.
But I just started talking to him last month.
Yeah.
When I
And
saw
to be
the
honest
project
with you,
coming out.
yeah, you gotta have the mentality that that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, but those type of people have their place in your life. You know.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at them. You shouldn't be mad, but whatever. You know how to handle those people, and then you go back and continue with your tribe.
Look, we're all entrepreneurs, right? We all have the. I'll never forget, and Dominicans specifically, I'll never forget. I was part of the community board, and I was hearing about all these restaurants in Dykeman where Blanquitos were like, you know, because again, before Mama
Sushi.
No, not Mama Juana. Before Mama Juana opened up their spot in that corner, before that was desolate. There was nothing.
Back there.
And Mama Juana came, and Mama Sushi, and then
Yeah.
all these places came in and brought traffic and brought like the energy in there, and it became safer. But what happened was that all these entrepreneurs, which were Dominican, were amazing what they did, but when it came to working together, because there was people saying, look, this is their la, they all didn't know how to work together. And it's like, I think specifically Dominicans are amazing. Like, you can't tell a Dominican no as an entrepreneur. They will figure it out.
Yeah.
But then the moment they gotta work together, there's something. It's just like their brain is all focused on entrepreneurs and making it happen. And when they're like, hey, ven acá, vamos a trabajar juntos, they're like, so it spills over even when it comes to the arts and all of that. And again, I think people just need to lead by example and see that. But it's still going to be something that needs to be worked through.
Definitely.
That's a good point. That was a good topic. I feel like it's one of those topics that people always hit when you're talking about just collaboration in general.
Yeah. But I think it's also too a part of it that we're such not critics, but we're so opinionated and passionate about things that if another person does it different, they'll be like, look, I would have recorded my podcast a little different from now on. You know what I mean? Like, everybody, very particular with everything, where they're like, but
loco, esa gorra te queda bacana. Pero si te la pones así, te queda bacanísima.
Right? And I'm like, thanks.
But my thing is, instead of, like, that's cool. Everybody has their opinions.
Yeah.
But what, you want everybody to do the same shit? No, the great thing is that everybody can do different stuff.
That's the beauty.
And be successful at whatever it is. Like, you know, like, everybody wants to be, like, si yo estoy haciendo un restaurante, like, yo, esa comida no se hace así, like, over here, como siempre, like, yo, let him cook whatever the fuck you want. Let him build his own little thing and have his success. Like, no todo el mundo tiene que tener plátano maduro, what it is, like, I don't get it, bro. I do not get it.
Yeah. It's an interesting time. It definitely is an interesting time. But again, as an individual that's out there, just do you focus, put in the reps. I always say that too. Like, you'll put in those hours because you're gonna get better and better and better, and the people will gravitate.
Bro, you been going to the gym?
I fluctuate, man. I go through.
Yo, look at these triceps, bro.
Oh, shit.
Look, I go.
Why you flexing though?
Facebook is a curse.
Having the answer, like,
Let me tell you something. Facebook is a curse because it constantly says, yo, today, 9 years ago, this is how you look.
Which is a good thing.
It's good and bad because I noticed the other day I went on a wormhole and I'm like, coño, 5 months I'm skinny, 5 months I'm fat, 3 months I'm gout, this and that, right? I fluctuate. Look, I'm a Cancer. I'm an emotional eater. I'll go in my little binge. I'm an emotional eater and I'll go on my binges. Like, I'll go 3 months where it's like, the tres golpes, café con leche, all that, right? But lately, the last couple of years, since COVID as well, and I was working out from home, I've been able to be like, oh, you know what? I'm like, let me control it. But what tends to happen is now that when I go to the gym, since I have so much muscle memory that if I work out for 2 weeks, you know, like, I see it, and I'm in that little stage right now.
Yo, bro, there was a picture you posted. I thought it was Photoshop, bro.
The 6-pack? That 6-pack was because I was doing so much calisthenics.
The best.
And I have a pull-up bar.
That's what you need, bro. That's what I want to go.
But that's the problem. Sometimes when I do the weights, my appetite increases, and then I'm just like this, and then I look at myself in the shirt, I was like, coño, I want to be like that. But when that period in time, when that was all just calisthenics, I was just different push-ups and everything like that, my body weight and everything like that, and then I was able to work my core, and that was the first time I had a six-pack in a while at my age. But
Bro,
everybody hit me up and was saying,
and a lot of comments was like, "Oh, Photoshop will look and say it."
Yeah, but I've been having, like, that's the thing about it. Like, my father's genes, thank you. But the other thing is that it's I've been working out since like I did Hell Week for football freshman year. I was working out 13. That's why my brother's 6 feet and I'm short. I was like, I started my growth with coffee and working out. I was doing weights at 13.
Yo, you know what?
I was in weight training in high school, bro. Like,
I worked out when I was 13, so I had that muscle memory for all these years. But that was the joke because my brother is 6 feet. We have the same size feet and everything. I'm like, yo, what's up? Like, my uncles, and I'm like, what happened? I was like, yo, 13. I was bench pressing, like 125, 130, 140, 150. And then I wish if I can go back in time, I would whisper to the 13 at local. Okay, so wait till you're 16 and then go in there because if not, you're losing a few inches. So.
No, you're looking good, bro.
Thank you.
Did you gain weight during the pandemic, or you got into?
No, I lost a bunch of weight. It just that's the other thing too. Not going out, cooking, everything. Like everybody became chefs. Yeah. Everyone was cooking.
I did cook a lot.
Everyone was cooking. Everyone was cooking. So it was cool. Like I got in the routine of eating low carb, and I had my little treats and all that, and then getting the routine. But the funny thing was once COVID started ending, the gym started opening up, I was like, I'm getting bored working out in the crib. So I started going back into the gym and everything. Yeah. But right now it's just like when I get to a point, I just do the cardio and then I do the working out. Everything's portions and stuff like that.
Do you think the global shutdown was necessary for humanity? That's a crazy question.
Wow,
that's a great question.
The Earth was like, it needed that.
Right. Because I heard even the floral spaces,
everything got better.
In 2 weeks.
But you know what's crazy right now? My brother sent me an article. It was called "The Great." Everyone's resigning, right? People are quitting. Record breaking. Yeah. So some people say, if we're gonna get into politics, people are lazy, they don't want to go back to work, they're getting unemployment. The other thing was they even said in Long Island where it was the restaurants out there, what they were doing was workers I gotta travel all the way there to make this much money, not worth it. So I think what happened is this big shutdown really created a thing of mental health is important for me. I'm not gonna fucking torture myself to work in the food service, depending on the restaurant, depending on all that. So it's put pressure on people to be pay them more. Right now that's happening right now, that Monday, the 18th might be where they're striking, the unions of production are striking because it's it was one of the things about it, these sets, 18 hours, inhumane. You see the actors, but the people on set, the union, it's inhumane hours. That's crazy. And so it's now people are look, we deserve, and that's the other thing too. People were home with their families, so now's the justice that your family's important. Spending time with your kids is important. So I think that big shutdown and people talk a lot about, how they treat people in restaurants. It's these people were, when you were ordering food and they were the number one people there. Without them, what would you do? Absolutely. So it kind of flipped the perception of who we are and who we value. We value, let's say, lawyers and all that other stuff. But the people in the food service, people doing all that stuff, you can't live without them.
They keep the world running, bro.
That's a fucking fact.
So why not switch it around and value them and give it that support? Because the moment you're shut down, you were I need this, and it's you have to have money value to that. And I think that's the stigma of the classes and all that. That person does that work. It's your life depends on that. So I think that kind of shifted. And then now with everything, let's be honest, people order everything on Amazon. If we're noticing, it's shifting with everything. So it was a great reset of all the stuff that's going on with the shutdown. I'm hoping that now that was it.
People change careers too.
Yeah. Well, people are really looking to what makes them happy.
They're
absolutely.
So it's crazy, right? Because the longer we go away, it's 9/11, right? When 9/11 happened for a few years, it was but then time goes on. I'm interested to see how when it's 2027, when that's a little in the back of our minds what we think about that era. That, you know, because remember how everybody was not getting along, but everything when everything was shut down, everyone was like at 7 o'clock. But as soon as the things start opening up, you the clubs and the Dykeman shootouts. I'm like, yo, we got what happened? We always have a period of time. 9/11, same thing. Like everyone was like, yo, everything, and then as time went up, unity, and then the moment that everything's back to normal,
that's something else. Like, para el pique. As a matter of fact, like, yo, bótalo si no se quiere vacunar.
Yeah, people like what?
Human nature.
Yeah.
Human nature is crazy.
It's wild, bro.
Humans is crazy.
Yeah.
Humans is crazy.
But I think for me, because now more than ever, I subscribe to a lot of like non-profit media news. Like just give me the stuff. Even when it comes with science and all that, like give me all of that, because honestly right now, and they've been getting caught. It's like if you watch this channel, they're saying Team A. And this one is Team B. And then in 5 months, you're like, well, wait a minute. This Team B did the same thing that you accused Team A, but then that's okay. So it's like, it's really bad, right? Even with relatives.
Yeah.
So I kind of like try to get.
I stay away from all that, bro.
Yeah. You have to it's a gift and a curse with the accessibility we have to data and information nowadays. Because now, yes, we have Google on our phones, and yes, we could search for answers, but that doesn't mean that every result is right that you get.
Exactly.
So now you have to filter.
Yeah.
You have to do your research. A lot of people Google shit and take the first line, the first result, and be like, oh, CNN. Oh, that's reliable. But believe it or not, even they don't do their due diligence, and sometimes the information is wrong. So to your point, you have to be careful with the information you are consuming.
But think about this, and I just came up with this right now because I'm old enough. I remember back in the day, we had an old ass TV. My dad, my mom, it was
that home, that fucking.
They had to switch it with the hands.
Yeah, so think about this. Back in the day, if your dad was watching a channel, Camila Canal, you had to go and change it. So you valued it. You knew in there. But then once the remote came, right? So now it's the same way with how we consume information. What's going on now too is like everybody's getting like the conspiracy theory thing became mainstream. So people are like reading a meme. Like they just showed a thing where you and I can make a meme of some science thing, smack this and that, put it out there, and people are not digging. People are not going to the library. People are not reading like literature.
Not doing research.
It's too much for them. It's too easy. It's like, yo.
They see the picture and that's it.
But then that's the other thing too. It's like YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. They are manipulating. Like when you go to the search thing, they manipulate everything. So you're in a warp, getting all the information, thinking you're doing the research, but the algorithm is leading to you to go in there. And it's like, nah, but I researched for a couple of hours. I went on a wormhole. Yeah, because of the algorithm. And that's what the woman from Facebook was saying. They control all of that. They're doing that. I'll never forget. It probably was like, you probably will remember more specifically, I'm thinking it was like 8 years ago. Facebook was in order. Literally in order. If Fulano just posted something 1 second ago, then all of a sudden, Facebook was like, no, we're going to cater for you. And people were like, ven acá, I don't want that shit. Why are you doing that? And then Facebook would sneakily set the settings back to the way they wanted it. They're like, nope, I want it in order. And then eventually we got tired of it. And then now when you go on Facebook, you don't even have the option to put it in order.
No, anymore. Dude, I be like,
and remember the side ads?
Yo, you know what's crazy? I would like a picture and I'd be like, oh, that's a week old. I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with this shit, bro?
So
like, pero that's on top of your news. You know what I'm saying? You can refresh. Y están ahí, tan viejos, de 3 días, 2 días.
Yeah, but then
it's crazy.
I have friends. I haven't heard from them in a while. But back in the day, it was in order. Like that. Yo, it would take me being like, oh, it's Fulano's birthday. I'll go on the page, like it, and now they're coming. I'm like, well, you only seen 10% of your friends. So it's like I say that to say that you're right. Where we're living in a time because of digital space where we really think we're seeing all of it. But the reality is we're only seeing this much, and we're looking through there, and we're not even like it takes a while, but we're not even noticing that on an everyday basis.
And the reason why I even thought about that, bro, is because of what you said. You look at the non-profit news, you look at the non-popular news. Sometimes, if you want to get the raw information, you have to look at news sources from other countries. That's another thing. a news article that's reported in New York, let's say by the New York Times, could be totally different from that same news article that came out from the Middle East, from a news source in the Middle East. It's two different lenses, and you're gonna get two different stories. You're gonna get 3, 10, 100 different stories from 100 different news articles. So how can you even tell? But at the end of the day, I think you're right, bro. You have to look for the unconventional resources, because a lot of time those be the ones that are doing the biggest effort
and don't be
to
picking
report.
teams, like, you
but that's why because when I read stuff, it's like, for example, it's like, okay, everyone had their thoughts. Trompito goes out. Biden comes in, right?
Yeah.
Biden comes in, and then right away people and then it's like, you can't criticize. Even the people who should criticize. You can't criticize. So even the news is doing a certain way, but he's making the same mistakes that maybe Trompito was doing. But we live in a time of but he's team A. But then what happens? 2022 comes around, and then the other team is like, oh, you had 2 years, and they come in. So it's like this whole thing, and at the end of the day, it's like, my thing is, and I always say that, and again, this is my experience with community work. People don't focus enough in the local community and politics. That's where it affects us the most. These people up top, the presidents and all that, that's one thing, but there's so much red tape. Local community. You're in your community, put the heat on that councilman. Put the heat on the community board. That's where you're going to see that, and you'll have the ripple effect going up. But if not, everybody's like, oh, it's not a sexy year to vote. Like, we have an election right now coming up in the fall, like in November, in a few weeks. It's not sexy because it's not a president.
Well, the new mayor for New York City is.
But yes, but it's the Republican guy versus that was already decided already. But here's the other problem. Maybe there would be better quality candidates if we put the heat on earlier, because that's what happens. And by the time we get this new mayor, they're like, man, I was like, yeah, but you, again, locally, you have to put the heat on there, because when the primary happens, you do your homework, and it's like, I'd rather have anybody than the Republican candidate.
But that's not doing your homework, though.
But that's the craziest mentality. You know how many people I spoke to and they talk like that, bro? And I've been like, what the fuck, bro? Like, you really just put an X on somebody you don't fucking know.
You have no.
You haven't even heard what they like their plans are. Like, no, that's it. Yo soy rojo. Yo soy azul.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, what?
Yeah.
No vamos a mejorar, ¿sí?
No. And guess what? The system is built that way. I mean, they sort of want us to have that way, because then it's like, all right, we just keep it moving, you know? There's another thing too that I realized too is there's that, I forgot what the term is specifically, but it's like, you have individuals, like right now what's going on, right, with the voting restriction and all that, right? If I'm gonna get into the politics, the Republicans are good at, they put in the fucking work. Like, they will fix the local laws, they'll put the state laws, they do all that stuff so that they got the system in there. The Democrats sometimes are really good at the charade. Oh my God! But when you look at the records, like, well, get twisted. They're like, what's going on? So that when the Republicans come in, now they got the rules switched up. That's why a lot of the big word is gerrymandering. Whereas, like, you got the map, they've been amazing to cut everything up, the districts, so that they have more power. But if you can't also rely on the candidates, like, yo, this is unfair. All right, but what's the work you're actually putting in to progress this? Because at the end of the day, this country is really reflecting who we are right now. The people that are controlling are this percentage right now, but they know how to work it to control all of it. If you talk about how the Supreme Court justice look right now, where it's like 6-3, that's not reflective of the country. The country's more on this side, but they knew, Obama, we don't know if it's going to be Hillary or Trump, so we're not going to put a new justice. But this person just passed away. Nope, we got to wait. Then when Trump lost, that Ginsburg died. Nope, we can't. But wait a minute, you just did it for the other one. Nope, and that's how they know how to work it in there.
They know when to play their cards.
So but as individuals, as citizens, you have to do your homework. You got to know everything to have accountability. Not only on your team, but the other side. But on your team, you got to be like, yo, I voted you for this. What's up, man?
What's going on?
What's going on? What's up? That tends to happen all the time, right? you get cool with somebody, you vibe with them, and you're like, yo, fulano, I'm gonna do this and this and that. Cool. If they don't do it, you're like, all right, whatever. Then the next time, you're like, nah, I ain't fucking with you. But you gotta give the accountability, because that's what happens too in this country. It's like, we vote for somebody, they let us down, and like, all right, whatever, I'm not voting. Let's go with the other, and then the other people come in. So I think we have to be educated more every day. But that's a lot. We distracted with the algorithms of social media.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of getting into politics?
No.
That's not your thing, right?
It's not my thing. I feel the energy that I want to do is empower our peoples in a circle. I feel like I have more opportunities to be face to face with a smaller group of people that are very in tune and say, hey, building, like you guys right now, we're building, we're like-minded. When it becomes a bigger thing, it does get exhausting, and then look, they're not a politician, and when they get up higher and higher, they gotta sacrifice or do things, and then they lose that true essence of where they were when they were grassroots.
The connection,
because you can't be yourself.
Yeah.
Especially you won't get in that position.
You will not be able to get into the position until they say F you to lobbyists.
Yeah.
That's it. That's why we're
lobbyists control everything.
I think that's why we'll never get into politics, because I'm not a not-for-profit guy. Let's just put it out there. I'm a for-profit guy. I like business. But I feel like if you stay private, you build your own business with your people, you could always give back and create certain things easier. Like if we were to build something, I'm going to be the first one to be like, yo, we need to go back to the community, the kids, the moms, whatever. But as a politician, I feel like there's too much red tape, like you said. Too much red tape.
It's a lot of red tape. It's a lot. And you're never gonna, and that's the other thing, you're never gonna make everybody happy. And then there's always gonna be somebody out there, and there's always gonna be another person that's gonna counter that. And then the other person's like, oh shit, that. And then there's, so to me, I feel like the biggest influence I can do is very close-knit, hands-on, like-minded, because then what tends to happen is if we're running together and we're using our resources and everything, then like what you said right there, yo, let's all get together, let's do this little event here, let's put in our money in here, that's it, no FEMA, done, that's it, impactful, call it a day. Because it's just too much right now, man. It's too much distraction. It's unfortunate. We are living in that matrix right now because of what we're doing, and people consume a lot of their news social media wise. And once you introduce it, it's hard to take it out, man. You know what I mean? I think maybe the next generation, like the ones that are now like 6 years old, I think, because that's what it is. Every generation counters the other generation prior. You know, you're starting to see a little, if we're going to bring the big word, the cancel culture. Now it's cancel culture. But now it's canceling the cancel culture that's calling out the cancel culture.
Yo, shout out to Netflix.
Quick, because we can't chill forever, but you just freaking hit something we need to talk about, bro.
Right.
The Dave Chappelle special.
Yes.
Did you watch it?
I saw it.
What are your thoughts on the cancel culture around what Dave Chappelle said and what they're trying to do with him? Are you aware of it?
Well, I know
around
they're trying to basically take that.
He made jokes around trans.
This is the thing. This is all I'm gonna say about this.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, and these type of things play out a couple of years from now in that sense, right? Because extreme, they pull the Chappelle thing. Extreme, they ignore it. There's protests and all that. I think
they suspended employees from Netflix,
right? Because of all the stuff that's going on. Because we are at a time right now that it's like, yo, you have to unite, you have to stand up for this stuff. But this is what I think right now, and I don't know how it's gonna play out.
Right.
I think Chappelle knew, not the results, whatever. Yeah. He knew. He's like, yo, I did my contract. Remember, he said it in the special. I did my specials. He did one every year, and I think he, for whatever particular reason, was like, I'm gonna troll the situation.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And I think what's going to happen, because again, this both sides, is to have a real conversation. So he almost was like, all right, I know I'm gonna be getting canceled, but the real progress and the real situation is gonna come from all the conversations that are happening. That hasn't happened in the past with others, because it's like they say oops, or like, oh, this one right here, I think he's like, yo, I'm probably gonna be out of it for a couple of years, but let all of this real conversation. Let's get specific. Let's grow from it.
Why are we canceling without having conversation?
Let's have a conversation. And the other thing too, again, and I've seen this already for the last year, is like people see a clip. If somebody says a joke in the 45th minute, but in minute 3 was like, yo, check it out, and you build it. People are doing the clips. Not to say everybody, because people are gonna react, but the problem again, in the whole gram of social media, I actually saw a thread on Facebook, and someone was like, la 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 la, and the other person was like, well, I felt like that, la. And then the other person says, so you saw it? No, I saw a clip. Okay, you know what? Let me go watch it. So that's where I'm not going to, the cancel culture, the problem with the cancel culture at times is that a good portion of the people did not invest and watch it. Why? They're just jumping on it, diluting of what the people who truly feel it should be canceled, because that's what they feel. Then it's a momentum, and then it becomes this avalanche. And I think Chappelle, and again, he might be wrong, he might be right. I think he knew that it was going to lead to that. And I think hopefully out of that, because in the past, if a comedian is like that, maybe Netflix doesn't back him up. But he probably knew, it's like, no, Netflix is going to stand the ground, which is going to create even more of a thing, and then we can finally discuss and talk without 3 weeks from now, people forget about it and go back to the light. That's the thing about it. It's like, it's a big momentum. People forget about what we really truly feel, and then we keep moving, and then in a year, something else happens, and we don't progress. Because again, people don't like putting the legwork in. They don't want to see the whole thing. They don't want to see the whole context. There are people that did, and they feel that way, and they have to respect that. But I feel a certain way when people don't watch it. And you see a clip, or their friend says it, and they know, and then they just jump in and they're commenting and create this snow thing. It's like, watch it, spend an hour, watch it, and then say what you gotta say.
So you can understand the entire message.
Yeah. Damn. That to me is what, because look, the Chappelle thing is not the first thing in 2021 that has happened, but I feel like there are other contrarians too, and there's just other individuals that just thrive for that. I feel like sometimes back in the day before the internet, these people were actually in the streets, or they were doing certain things. Now that they're behind the keyboard or on their phones and they see something and they're like, yo, I'm gonna jump on that. Yo, you know what? I thought, you know what? Chappelle's been watched for 5 years. Chappelle was never funny to me. I'm like, okay, well, why didn't you say that 4 years ago? I mean, social media existed. You're waiting for, he's canceled. Yeah, you know what? La, la, la. It's like, okay, but that's the world we live in right now. Everything is just like, oh, there's a fire over there. Oh, shit, let's out of there. And that invalidates the people who truly feel that way. Right. Because in Team A, Team A, it looks at the person over there that wasn't part of the initial that saw it, and now they're attacking over here like this. When the people that are in the front line that really truly feel that way, it gets diluted because everyone's now arguing over this stuff. And that's what's going on with the Team A and Team B. Team cancel, team no, why you gotta be. Team cancel, the cancel. That's what it is right now. I heard it the other day. People can't. I'm trying to cancel you. Now you're trying to cancel me because I'm trying to cancel him, and then this person's trying to cancel you.
Cancel everybody.
And it's all this whole thing that's going on.
And I'm gonna keep it a stack, bro. I don't give a fuck about that culture, that cancel shit. Like, I want to speak mine. I have a voice. You know what I'm saying? I have opinion. So do you. Like, tanto. If I say whatever I say, that's unfollow lo que sea. It's not, yo no te estoy forzando a ver lo que sea.
But I feel like the cancel culture has only gained steam because of social media. Because people come together. I agree, bro. I feel like people forgot to have dialogue and have a conversation. Just be like, yo, manín, pero si tú no estás de acuerdo con esto, ok, yo entiendo. Pero a la misma vez, esta es mi opinión. No significa y no significa that you gotta take food away from my house just because I said something. It just means you don't like it. Okay, I might not say it again, but if I feel like saying it again, I'm gonna say it again.
I think the thing was that you had the Weinsteins, you had all that were monsters.
The Me Too movement too,
that was validated. Like, yo, this guy had power. He abused it. People enabled him. And then as the time went on, there was more and more and more, and the steam was putting under one umbrella, and it was continuing. But you're right. What's happening now more too is like people don't want to express themselves because they're like, oh, I'm gonna get canceled. It's not.
I got DM like, yo, I think you shouldn't.
You got DM?
Yeah, so like people will tell, like they'll be like, oh, I think you shouldn't put this content up. Like it will affect you in the long run and you get in trouble. I'm like, in trouble by who?
What type of content? The podcast?
No, like I posted like the Dave Chappelle shit. I'm like, yo, fucking people are so sensitive nowadays. Like, yo, bro, like, don't me so I can't have an opinion tampoco. Like, nah, fuck out of here. I'ma say what I gotta say. Si no te gusta.
I'm ready to scrap, bro.
That's it, bro.
We out.
Here's the thing. I the other day.
Tips on, but the tips on.
But this is what I do now. The other day, I did a video. Someone commented on it, and they went, yo, like,
One paragraph.
It was on Twitter. It was like. I looked at it.
You need a bookmark to continue reading.
Yeah, I looked at it and I replied to the person. I was like, yo, look. DM me your address. We'll have coffee. Let's talk about it. This is too much. It's just like because that's the other thing about it too. You know how it goes. Someone puts a thing, and yo, I'll never forget. This is not funny. This was like a year ago, and whenever I'm like talking to my siblings, like FaceTime, you know, I'm always like multitasking. So I'm on Twitter. And somebody who I didn't know was big in the Trump world. I didn't know. I commented. I was like, you a stupid ass like that. But mind you, I'm a little distracted because I'm with my. I'm like, yeah, no, man. I look at the thing. I'm like, man, you a stupid ass, right? Like that. Didn't even think of it. My phone started. What the fuck? And now I had to go to. I remember my girl and I had to go to Target, and I get off the phone and I'm like, oh my god, yo, it was like. That person had a hive. They were coming at me. He retweeted it. And I'm like, oh my god. And I'm like, my body started changing. I was like this. My girl's like, are you gonna get ready? I'm like, I don't know. Oh my god. So check this out. So I'm going back and forth with everybody. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, yo, this is not me. I'm not here to fight back and forth. I said stupid ass. Then a couple of tweets later, I'm like, you know what? I was wrong for it, right? I did an apology. So I apologized to the person. I deleted it.
Right.
So I had already screenshot it.
Oh my god.
But you said this. Oh, da, da, da. Now mind you, they were like, oh, go back to your country, all this other stuff. And I'm like, joke is on you because my screen name is Juan Bago. They don't know. They're thinking that how.
Yeah.
So bottom line was this. I went ahead. I didn't apologize. Like, you know what? This is not me. Cricket. Nobody wanted to reply.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, the hates, the visceral, like the
drive.
Yo, it was so. The hype came at me, and I'm still at Target. What's wrong with you? Can you? I'm like, no, because it was the most craziest thing, and that's what it is. It's Team A and Team B. I insulted this one guy. This guy had like 60,000 followers, so he, you know,
Retweeted just
quote tweeted, and everybody was like, look at this guy, and I'm like, well, look at this white, like, and then I looked at his timeline, and this same guy was threatening one of the politicians, and this politician's probably, then I'm like, this is what he posts all day. No wonder they're like vultures. So I learned that. From that point, I was like, the way my mind works is, you see the conversation right now? I could have disagreed with you right now. No camera, nothing. We have a conversation.
Yeah,
a real conversation. It doesn't happen on Twitter. It doesn't happen on social media. So when someone comes at me, I might throw a little sarcastic thing there. But then I'm like, if this is gonna go further, listen. If you're in New York, hit me up. Let's have a cafecito. Let's discuss, because it's back and forth. You're gonna read it. You're gonna digest it. You're gonna go in there. And you're gonna rebuttal. So then that way, if it gets retweeted, like, oh look, Mike, he got you on that one. And I'm like, are we there for that? Because at the end of the day, we're probably on the same team.
Yeah.
And we're getting caught up in that. And that's the thing about it, is like that and look, it changes your body. Like, I remember when people, like, when that incident happened, even though I'm not in front of that person that said it, I'm like feeling the thing. I'm like, oh, you yeah, right? And that's what the problem is now.
Una pedrada,
where are you? Drop your pin. Drop your pin.
Oh man, bro, this is awesome. Yo, we can't chill forever, bro, but we appreciate you so much.
Yeah, man, I love
your family, bro. You're like you're one of the. You can come here whenever you want. Oh, word, you doing it?
That's what I see, bro.
You can
Aquí Chillin.
Aquí Chillin.
Aquí Chillin con Juan Bago in the house.
Oh,
you already know, my brother. And you know, before we leave, we always ask this question.
Yes.
As a writer And being that you chose writing over acting.
I did for now.
For now.
Then I get booked in a Netflix series and I go that writing shit.
But to keep it 100, he's a writer and an actor.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you. You're talented, bro.
Thank you.
For those, younger Latinos, Dominicans, Caucasians that want to be writers, we're all inclusive here.
Those Republicans.
Yeah.
Although when it comes to creative, there's not a lot of creative Republicans when it comes down to it. It might be controversial, but it's just like, in the arts, well, whatever.
Let's even.
I'll even hear it.
I'm gonna even include the flat Earth people.
Very good.
You know what I'm saying? Bro, like,
their research.
Yeah, they're there, but what advice you give to writers, that want to create content, that want to write?
Yeah. So, I'll start by saying this. We talk about up and coming, but with something like writing, you can start at 70, right? So, that is because that's sort of sometimes, there's been a lot of individuals that have lived their life, whether as an accountant or working in a supermarket and have a lot of amazing experience and stories, but then I'm 60 or I'm 55, I don't know. Yo, let me tell you, one of the things I notice is when I sometimes take a step back and embrace life, the best material comes from that, right? Because I'm like, I remember one time I went upstate to go visit my sister, and there was a community. I'm meeting characters, and I'm like, oh my god! I'm literally like, okay, yes. So my advice is to never feel like it's ever too late, and to promise yourself, have your own contract to yourself, accountability. If you're gonna be taking it serious, go for it. Don't forget. Don't feel like if you fail, because again, what is failure anyway, right? Failure is a learning lesson, and you're gonna continue to grow on there. So if you're afraid of failure, then don't even get involved. But as writers, just find your system and your rhythm, because a lot of times people are writing fast and they all that. Find your style, embrace it. It's never too late, and be just true to yourself. That's it.
I like that,
bro.
Aqui
Chillin in the house.
And I barely had any of this.
Yo, you gotta gulp that. You gotta sip. You gotta gulp that. Now let me stop. Chuck.
Hour later, turn the camera back on.
Yo, Aquí Chillin, en la casa. Juan Bago, you already know. Tu querías.
Poseo por todo lo que tengo. Chequea cómo es que me muevo. Qué rico sabe el progreso.